Sarah Mitchell had spent 23 years building her career at Riverside Technology Solutions. At 58, she'd seen it all, or so she thought. As CEO, her days were filled with board meetings, strategic planning, and the constant pressure of keeping a 300-person company afloat. She knew the numbers, the projections, the market trends. What she didn't know were the stories of the people who kept her building running after everyone else went home. Chen was one of those invisible people. Every evening at 6 o'clock, as executives hurried to their cars and programmers logged off their computers, Marcus arrived with his cleaning cart. He was 42, though the lines around his eyes made him look older. His daughter Emma was 12, and she was his entire world. Sarah first noticed Marcus on a Wednesday evening in late October. She'd been working late, reviewing quarterly reports, when she heard the gentle sound of someone humming in the hallway. Through her office door, she saw him, a man in a gray uniform, carefully wiping down the water fountain, treating it with the same care someone might give to a piece of fine china. There was something in his movements, a quiet dignity that made her pause. The next evening, she found herself staying late again. This time, she watched as Marcus cleaned the conference room. He didn't just empty the trash bins. He straightened every chair until they were perfectly aligned. He wiped down the whiteboard with gentle, circular motions. When he thought no one was looking, he paused to read the equations left behind by the engineering team, his lips moving slightly as if working through the problems himself. Friday evening, curiosity got the better of Sarah. Instead of going home at 5:30 as usual, she told her assistant she'd be working late. But she wasn't working. She was watching. And when Marcus finished his shift at 9 o'clock and headed to his old blue Honda in the parking lot, Sarah made a decision that surprised even herself. She followed him. Marcus drove carefully through the October darkness, always using his turn signals, never exceeding the speed limit. Sarah kept a respectful distance, feeling both foolish and compelled. What was she doing? She was a CEO, not a private investigator. Yet something told her this man's story mattered. He didn't go home. Instead, he drove to Jefferson Middle School and parked in the lot. Sarah watched as he walked to the gym entrance, where a basketball practice was just ending. A girl with long dark hair came running out, Emma, his daughter. Even from a distance, Sarah could see the way Marcus's entire face changed when he saw her. He opened his arms, and Emma flew into them, chattering excitedly about her day. But they didn't leave. Marcus and Emma sat on the hood of his car, and he pulled out a paper bag. 2 sandwiches. They ate together under the parking lot lights, Emma's homework spread out between them. Sarah watched as Marcus helped his daughter with algebra, pointing at problems, encouraging her, celebrating when she got an answer right. Their breath formed small clouds in the cooling air, but neither seemed to notice the cold. After homework, they drove to the public library. Sarah followed, parking several spaces away. Inside, she pretended to browse the travel section while watching Marcus and Emma settle at a corner table. Emma pulled out more books, and Marcus read beside her, his finger tracing lines of text in what looked like a college calculus book. Every so often, he'd glance up to check on Emma, making sure she was focused, safe, happy. They stayed until the library closed at 10. Then Marcus drove Emma to a small apartment building on the east side of town. Sarah watched them climb the stairs to a second-floor unit, Marcus's hand protective on his daughter's shoulder. Through the window, she could see the modest apartment, clean but sparse. Marcus helped Emma get ready for bed, and even from outside, Sarah could see him sitting on the edge of her bed, probably reading her a story, though she was certainly old enough to read herself. When the lights finally went out at 11:15, Marcus came back downstairs. But he didn't stay. He got back in his Honda and drove across town to Mercy General Hospital. Sarah's chest tightened as she followed him into the parking garage. She watched from a distance as Marcus entered through the main doors, stopping at the front desk where the night receptionist greeted him warmly. Sarah waited 15 minutes before following him inside. She told the receptionist she was looking for the cafeteria, and the kind woman pointed her down the hall. But Sarah didn't go to the cafeteria. She walked quietly through the corridors until she found Marcus sitting in a room on the 4th floor, beside a hospital bed where an elderly woman lay sleeping. His mother, Sarah would later learn. Margaret Chen, 76 years old, recovering from a stroke. Marcus held his mother's hand gently, speaking to her in soft tones even though she was asleep. He told her about Emma's basketball practice, about how well she was doing in school, about the beautiful autumn leaves outside. He updated her on small neighborhood news, treating her as if she could hear every word. And perhaps she could. Sarah felt tears on her cheeks. This man, this janitor she'd barely noticed in 2 decades of running her company, sat here every single night. He worked his shift, cared for his daughter, and then spent hours with his mother, getting perhaps 3 or 4 hours of sleep before starting all over again. She drove home that night unable to stop thinking about what she'd witnessed. Saturday and Sunday passed slowly. Monday morning, Sarah arrived at her office with a new perspective. She called her head of human resources, Janet Morrison, a woman in her early 60s who'd been with the company almost as long as Sarah. "Janet, tell me about our night custodial staff," Sarah said. "Their benefits, their wages, their situations." Janet looked surprised but pulled up the files. The conversation that followed troubled Sarah deeply. The night shift workers made barely above minimum wage. Their benefits were minimal. Most had second jobs. Many had stories like Marcus's: single parents, people caring for sick relatives, individuals working multiple jobs just to survive. "Why didn't I know this?" Sarah asked quietly. Janet gave her a gentle smile. "You've been focused on keeping the company alive through some difficult years. We all have our blind spots, Sarah." That afternoon, Sarah did something she'd never done before. She went to the janitorial supply closet on the 3rd floor at 6 o'clock and waited. When Marcus arrived to get his cart, she was there. "Mr. Chen," she said softly. "I'm Sarah Mitchell, the CEO. Could I speak with you for a moment?" Marcus looked startled, worried even. "Yes, ma'am. Is something wrong? Did I miss something in my cleaning?" No. Nothing like that. I actually wanted to ask you about something I noticed on your employee file. You have some college credits listed, quite a few, actually. In engineering." Marcus's face flushed slightly. "Yes, ma'am. I was working toward my degree before life happened. My wife passed away 6 years ago. Cancer. And then my mother had her stroke last year. I had to prioritize. Emma needed me. My mother needed me." Sarah nodded slowly. "I understand. Mr. Chen, I'm going to be direct with you because I think you're a man who appreciates honesty. I know about your evenings. I followed you last Friday." Marcus's eyes widened, but Sarah raised her hand gently. "Please, let me finish. I followed you because I saw something in the way you worked, a care and dedication that went beyond your job description. What I discovered was a man of remarkable character. A devoted father. A loving son. Someone who gives everything he has to the people he loves, while still taking pride in his work, even when he thinks no one is watching." Marcus stood silent, unsure how to respond. "I also noticed you were studying calculus in the library. Would I be correct in assuming you still hope to finish your degree someday?" "Someday," Marcus said quietly. "When Emma's older. When my mother, when things are different." Sarah smiled. "What if someday could be sooner? Our company has a tuition assistance program that I'm ashamed to say I didn't realize was restricted to salaried employees. I'm changing that policy effective immediately. Additionally, I'd like to offer you a position in our facilities management department, full-time, with benefits, with hours that would allow you to be home with Emma in the evenings. The pay is considerably better, and you'd be working with our engineering team on building systems. You could continue your education while you work." Marcus's mouth opened, but no words came out. "There's more," Sarah continued. "I've been thinking about our company culture. We have all these brilliant people here, but we're missing something essential. We're missing heart. I'd like to start a mentorship program, pairing our employees with local students who need guidance. I'd like you to help me develop it. You clearly understand what young people need." "Ms. Mitchell, I don't. I'm just a janitor. I don't have any qualifications for." "You have the most important qualification," Sarah interrupted gently. "You understand what it means to care about people, not just as employees or students or statistics, but as human beings with complex lives and real struggles. That's something that can't be taught in any business school." Tears formed in Marcus's eyes. "Why are you doing this?" Sarah thought about her answer carefully. "Because somewhere along the way, I forgot what really matters. I forgot that success isn't just about profit margins and market share. It's about the people who make everything possible, people like you who show up every day and do their work with dignity and love, even when life is overwhelmingly difficult. You reminded me of that. You reminded me of what kindness looks like." The changes Sarah implemented over the following months transformed Riverside Technology Solutions. The mentorship program brought local students into the company, pairing them with employees who shared their interests. Emma was one of the first participants, working with the software development team after school. The benefits package for all employees was restructured to be more equitable. And Marcus Chen, now a facilities management coordinator, was finishing his engineering degree with the company's support. But perhaps the most significant change was in Sarah herself. She started taking time to know her employees, not just their names and job titles, but their stories. She learned that the receptionist was caring for her grandson while her daughter recovered from addiction. She discovered that one of her senior programmers was volunteering at a homeless shelter every weekend. She found out that the woman who ran their cafeteria was sending money back to her family in Guatemala, supporting 14 people on her salary. Each story humbled her. Each person reminded her that business success meant nothing if it came at the cost of human dignity and compassion. One evening in December, Sarah attended Emma's basketball game. Marcus had invited her, and she'd been touched by the gesture. Watching Emma play, watching Marcus cheer from the stands, his mother Margaret beside him in her wheelchair, doing better each day, Sarah felt something she hadn't felt in years. Not pride in quarterly earnings or successful product launches, but simple, genuine joy in witnessing good people living good lives. After the game, Emma ran over to them, her face flushed with excitement. "Did you see my three-pointer?" she asked. "We all saw it, sweetheart," Marcus said, hugging his daughter. "You were amazing." Emma turned to Sarah. "Thank you for coming, Ms. Mitchell. And thank you for giving my dad a chance. He's going to graduate next spring." Sarah smiled. "Your father gave himself the chance through years of dedication and hard work. I just removed some obstacles." As Sarah drove home that night, she thought about the path that had brought her here. 23 years of building a company, of fighting for market share, of proving herself in a competitive industry. All of it had seemed so important. And it was important, but it wasn't everything. What mattered most was what Marcus had shown her, that kindness is a choice we make every day, that dignity can be found in any honest work, and that the measure of a life isn't in titles or salaries but in the love we give and the care we show to those around us. She thought about her own children, grown and living in other cities, pursuing their own dreams. When had she last called them just to talk? When had she last asked about their lives instead of giving advice about their careers? When had she last been fully present, the way Marcus was present for Emma every single day? Sarah pulled out her phone at the next red light and sent a message to her daughter, "I love you. Can we talk this weekend?" "Really talk?" The response came quickly, "I'd love that." The following Monday, Sarah stood before her entire company at the annual holiday gathering. Usually, she gave a speech about the year's achievements and goals for the future. This year was different. "I want to tell you about something I learned recently," she began. "I learned that the most extraordinary people are often the ones we overlook. The ones who do their work quietly, without seeking recognition or praise. The ones who give everything they have, even when they're exhausted, because they understand that what we do matters, not just to ourselves, but to everyone whose lives we touch." She told them about following Marcus that October evening. She told them what she'd learned about dedication, sacrifice, and the true meaning of success. She didn't share his name, that was his story to tell or keep private, but she shared the lessons. "This company has accomplished remarkable things," Sarah continued. "But our greatest accomplishment isn't our technology or our market position. It's the people in this room. Each of you has a story. Each of you makes sacrifices and shows up every day with commitment and care. I want to do better at honoring that. At honoring you." The applause that followed wasn't polite or perfunctory. It was genuine, and it came from people who felt seen, perhaps for the first time. As winter turned to spring, Sarah continued her quiet revolution of kindness. She established an emergency fund for employees facing unexpected hardships. She created flexible scheduling options for parents and caregivers. She started having lunch in the cafeteria instead of her office, sitting with different people each day, listening to their stories. And on a warm May evening, Sarah sat in the audience at the local community college, watching Chen walk across the stage to receive his associate degree in engineering. Emma cheered loudly from beside Sarah, and Margaret, stronger now and walking with only a cane, dabbed at her eyes with a handkerchief. After the ceremony, Marcus introduced Sarah to some of his fellow graduates, other people who'd been working full-time while pursuing their education, other people with complicated lives and simple dreams of making things better for their families. "You gave me more than a job opportunity," Marcus told Sarah as they stood in the parking lot afterward, the spring sun setting behind them. "You gave me back my hope. You showed me that kindness still exists in the world, that people still see each other." Sarah shook her head gently. "You're the one who showed me that, Marcus. You've been living it every day. I just finally opened my eyes enough to notice." As Sarah drove home that evening, she thought about the woman she'd been a year ago, efficient, successful, but disconnected from the human reality around her. She thought about the woman she was becoming, someone who understood that true leadership isn't about having all the answers or making the biggest profits, but about creating space for people to grow, to thrive, to be fully human in all their complexity and struggle and hope. The janitor's secret hadn't been a scandal or a crime. It had been something far more powerful, a quiet demonstration of love, perseverance, and the dignity that comes from doing your best with what you have, even when no one is watching. And sometimes, Sarah reflected, the greatest gift we can receive is having our eyes open to see the extraordinary grace in ordinary lives, the heroism in daily sacrifice, and the profound impact of simple kindness extended from one human being to another. That night, Sarah called both her children and talked with them for hours, really talked, really listened, the way Marcus listened to Emma. She started a journal, writing down the stories of people she met, the lessons they taught her. And every evening, when she left her office, she made a point to thank the people who kept the building running, who kept life moving forward in countless small, essential ways. Because in the end, that's what Marcus had taught her, we are all connected in our humanity, all deserving of dignity and respect, all capable of making someone's life a little bit better through the simple, revolutionary act of truly seeing them.